So we're going to devote this lesson in video to the minor 7 flat 5 arpeggio. This is something I've taught on before. I really like it, but we're going to expand it even further. Now, in that progression you heard me playing over, there is a minor 7 flat 5 chord to start the progression off. And I can outline that chord with the, its respective arpeggio. But I made the progression go down to a G7 at one point and kind of vamp and jam on that a little bit. And you can also use that B minor 7 flat 5 arpeggio over top of that G7 chord. It's going to give you some really cool sounds. You got to watch the video because we're going to describe it all. So stay with me here. We're going to really outline all of it. But it's going to be a lot of fun because not only can we take that arpeggio over the G7, there's even another chord that we can play around with too. So lots of sounds from one cool arpeggio to kind of broaden your palette, get you out of the boxes, all that kind of buzzwordy stuff. All right, so let's talk about it a little bit more. Quick reminder, we're still giving away this Epiphone limited edition 59 Les Paul. You can click the link below to enter or in the comments, and this is a US only giveaway, so take note of that. Best of luck. So in our case, a B minor 7 flat 5, or a B half diminished as that's often called, consists of the notes B, D, F, and A. So B, D, F, A. And you can hear that it kind of wants to start going diminished, but it's not quite there yet. If you know a minor triad, you can take a look and see root, third, fifth. We want to flatten that. And that's certainly a shape you could use for this arpeggio, but this one kind of works well, which I'll outline and you guys can download. And you can hear that it doesn't quite go to that part yet to give you that full diminished sound. Because we didn't do the whole double flat 7 sort of idea. That's more theoretical mumbo jumbo that we can address later. But know now that we have a root, a flat third, a flat 5, and a flat 7. And you often hear that chord in what's called a minor 2-5-1 progression, where it might be B minor 7 flat 5, E7, maybe a flat 9, be a 9, to an A minor 7. And you might hear like sort of jazzers or R&B people or even blues players kind of flat 9, A minor 7. And you want to take that progression and we're going to outline that chord, which is the B minor 7 flat 5 with our arpeggio. And in the solo I'm going to show you, you'll have that completely documented. I made it like a solo study. Here's your E7. Maybe outline that a little bit with your E7 arpeggio and then an A minor chord or an A minor 7, and you can play blues on it. And all of that will work really well, all documented in the solo I'm going to show you, but I wanted to give you a little background into what that chord and that arpeggio really is. So when the progression goes to G7, I can also use this same B minor 7 flat 5 arpeggio over top that chord to get us a really cool sound. How can I do that? Well, as a rule, when you have a G7 or any dominant 7 chord, you want to play this minor 7 flat 5 arpeggio up a third. The third of G is B, 1, 2, 3. This is the same shape and arpeggio we've been working with. It's documented in the tab and transcription for you that you can download. So you can take that and play it over a G7. Now what you hear me do is kind of do a handoff, arpeggio to pentatonic. And it gives you this sort of idea. So what did I do there and why does that work? Well, what I did, I'll explain that first, is I played that arpeggio from the B, D, F, A, B, D again. Then I went to minor pentatonic 2 in G. So what's happening here? We're actually getting a G9 sound over top of that G7 chord. It's very, very fun and cool sounding. But we never play a G because there's no G in this arpeggio. Our B minor 7 flat 5 arpeggio over that chord, don't get too confused. This is for those of you that want to take it out a little bit. B, D, F. That's third, fifth, flat 7 of a G chord. then the A, which is the 9. And then we can just finish it up with any G blues that we want. So when we have this, so of course we're focusing on just one shape, but there's arpeggio patterns all over the guitar, and we're just going to focus on this sort of rooted version here for this and how it works over that. So let's hear that solo, and I'm going to walk you through all those lines. Everything I play in this little study solo is transcribed. You guys can download it, and I'll give you the tracks. Let's check it out. So now that you've heard that sort of solo study, you can hear how I'm outlining each chord with different types of arpeggios. The B minor 7 flat 5, I played the whole thing. I did that on purpose as a solo study idea. To the E7, I walked down. If you don't know your E7 or Dominant 7 arpeggios, I wrote 2 books on them, so we want to check those out as well. To an A minor 7, I played this kind of idea, which is A, C, E, G, A, back to E. That's an A minor 7 arpeggio in that particular form. When we go to the G7, I did that thing we talked about before where we take that B minor 7 flat 5 up and the minor pentatonic back, or some kind of bluesy lick of your choice. There's no rules, that's just what we're focusing on here, and I think it's actually pretty fun to do. So there's one other thing we can do that I want to talk about where we superimpose this arpeggio over yet one more chord. So there's actually one more chord that we're going to superimpose this arpeggio over top of. So we're going to take that B minor 7 flat 5 arpeggio and play it over top of a D minor 7. Why does this work? What will it give us? Well, the notes in that B minor 7 flat 5 arpeggio are B, D, F, and A. Now the D, F, and A make up a D minor triad. So there's 3/4 of the answer right there. The B can act as our extension note, or a 13 or a 6, that kind of sound. And if you take that, you can kind of hear it leading into that chord. Especially if I sort of round it out with maybe a D minor pentatonic or a D minor type of sound. So if I took a track and we just messed around a little bit, I'll do my thing where I go up the arpeggio, down the pentatonic, or down with a blues lick. It feels like a nice way to kind of marry those two things. If you hang out on the arpeggio too long, it might get a little weird. You want to bring it back into something that's more melodic and something that, works for us in the context of our solo. So let's try it. Arpeggio up, scale down, arpeggio up, back to the scale, so these little flavors we drop in like spices, and when you're cooking and you bring in this alternative spice that's not salt or pepper, you can really taste it if you have too much rosemary or too much thyme or that sort of thing. It jumps out. And that's what these arpeggios, that we use over different chords really do for me. They kind of give me a little bit of extra flavor that goes, oh, that was interesting. I want to hear that again, but I also want to hear the minor pentatonic. That's the case over the D minor 7 and the G minor and the G7. the B minor 7 chord, or the half diminished chord, kind of has all the parts going into each other like they should, and it sounds like a hand in a glove. But these other options that we can superimpose are really fun too. So there's lots and lots to study from this video alone, and I'm giving you a bunch of stuff for free. Don't forget, they're in the links below. Also, I put them in the comments, as well as the free trial for 14 days to my website. Get hundreds of guitar lessons for free for 14 days, a low monthly fee. After that, there's other goodies that you can get inside of that membership. But if you're not interested in any of that, great. Maybe just subscribe to the channel, hit the thumbs up, because that helps us reach more people in this YouTube verse. So I'm glad you're watching this. I hope you got something out of it. It's a lot of fun. Get to practicing. I'll see you next time.